On this episode of China Uncensored, a foreign country has been interfering in our elections. Guess which one? The CIA says China is undermining the US. If anyone knows about undermining a country, it's the CIA. And finally, fingers crossed for a trip to Tibet. Sadly, it probably won't be free. This is China Uncensored. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. A foreign government is interfering in U.S. elections, and President Trump is tired of letting Russia get all the credit. This time, he's talking about a different country in particular, China. Speaking to the UN Security Council, Trump said, "China does not want me or us to win because I am the first president ever to challenge China on trade. We are winning on trade. We are winning at every level. We don't want them to meddle or interfere in our upcoming election." And that had to be a bit awkward. I mean, the UN Security Council is only 5 countries, and China is one of them. Well, Russia is also one of them, so I guess they were relieved. Is the Chinese Communist Party interfering in US elections? Yes, but not like Russia. Internet bots are for amateurs. More on that in a future episode. According to a new director of the CIA, China is working to diminish US influence around the world. She specifically talked about how the Chinese regime promises loans to many developing countries, which they can't repay. On paper, China is investing almost $1 trillion as part of its Belt and Road Initiative, an infrastructure plan where China gives developing countries massive loans. So far, the actual amount spent has been less than the Chinese regime promised, which is actually a good thing, because those loans have been trapping those countries in debt while Chinese businesses extract resources and often do very little for the local economies. Yes, why would any country ever want to do business with anyone else? Now, believe it or not, US-China relations aren't doing great. I know, shocking, but there are some warning signs. Just 2 days before a planned meeting between a top Chinese naval officer and his US counterpart, the Chinese side called it off. At the same time, China denied a request from a US naval vessel to enter port in Hong Kong. This is not a first. In 2016, when everyone was freaking out about China building military facilities on artificial islands in the South China Sea, the ones they said they would never militarize, China also denied another US naval ship from entering port in Hong Kong. The ship denied entry this time, the USS Wasp, responded, "Roger that, we'll just buzz off." But that doesn't mean there can't be friendly military exchange between the US and another part of China, namely Taiwan, which Communist China believes is a province, but most sane people believe is a country. The US is selling $330 million of weapons to Taiwan. Obviously, the Chinese Communist Party is unhappy, so they urged the US to cancel the deal or risk doing damage to US-China relations. I believe that ship has already sailed. That ship is the USS Wasp and is somewhere off the coast of Hong Kong by now. Some good news for a change. The Vatican and the Chinese Communist Party are close to finalizing an agreement that will change the lives of Catholics in China. No, it won't stop the party from tearing down churches, or get the party to stop forcing people to replace pictures of Jesus with Xi Jinping, or stop Christians from being killed for their organs. But so far, the Pope will agree to recognize 7 Catholic bishops appointed by the officially atheist Chinese Communist Party. I don't think the Pope understands how to negotiate a deal. Maybe he should get some advice. And finally, planning a trip to Tibet just got a little easier. Well, okay, it's not easy. US citizens are still banned from traveling there. I think it's because we just couldn't withstand the sheer joy Tibetans feel about being liberated by the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, that looks like joy, the same way this looks like being liberated. But the US House of Representatives has passed a new bill that will deny US entry to Chinese officials who prohibit American citizens from traveling to Tibet. Will this force a change in Tibet? Who knows? I mean, if the Chinese regime didn't change for the Beastie Boys, are they really going to change for a bunch of congressmen? So what do you think? Leave your comments below. And before you go, now is the time when I answer questions from you, the the loyal members of the China Uncensored 50-cent army who support the show on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Charles Walter Brooke asks, Chris, which high-ranking member of the Chinese Communist Party would you most like to interview and why? And what kind of uncomfortable questions would you like to grill them with? Well, besides obviously Xi Jinping, who has still not yet responded to my repeated requests for an interview, by the way, I'd like to interview Wang Qishan. Wang is vice president of the People's Republic, and more importantly, he's Xi Jinping's main guy in charge of the anti-corruption campaign being used to purge all the officials Xi Jinping doesn't like. I'd ask Wang Qishan to give me the dirt on all the corrupt officials that are next on the chopping block, and I'd bring a wheelbarrow because there's going to be a lot of dirt. Thanks for your question, Charles. And if you have a burning question, first, you should probably have a doctor check that out. And then you should sign up to support China Uncensored on Patreon. Join our 50-cent army so you can send me those questions and so I can answer them on the show. So once again, thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored, and be sure to subscribe if you aren't. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time. Well, sorry to say that's the end of another China Uncensored, but this isn't goodbye. Hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you know when we have more episodes. The more episodes we will have. A new one comes out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and sometimes Saturday.